Okay, is this retro game collecting, video game collecting 101?
Did you just say, is this?
Is this? I'm asking.
Do you not know?
You are here. Yes.
Is it retro game collecting or all video game collecting? You guys want to talk about video game in general or retro? Retro, all right.
This is Retropalooza after all.
All right.
You want to run down and introduce everyone?
Sure. Hey everyone, Gaijin Goombah here. In case you don't know, I'm one of the game theorists. I do Culture Shock, I do Game Exchange, and hopefully very, very soon I will be doing Gaijin Review, which will be dealing with anime content because no one's really talking about that. So thanks for being out, everyone.
Hey, I'm Matt Pat, one of his partners. No.
I hate you.
I'm Scottsquatch from the channel Scottsquatch, and that's Scottsquatch. There you go.
I'm PewDiePie. I'm from Sweden.
Liar!
I actually went... Where did we go that night? I don't know if you were there. I went to a Buffalo Wild Wings and told them I was PewDiePie as a joke, and they believed me. And all the waiters started coming out to meet me and stuff like that. It was the most awkward dinner I ever had in my life. In case you don't know, and you probably don't, my name is Woodhawker from a channel Beat 'em Ups. I'm from Australia, so a lot of my collecting tips can be about what it's like collecting in Australia, if that's what you guys want to hear, or what I've learned in America in the last year. But thanks for being at the panel.
Woo!
I was going to make a joke that I'm Markiplier, but he sort of stole my thunder. Anyway, my name is Pat Contry. I've been collecting video games since like '98. I have a Pat the NES Punk Show, Flea Market Madness, Ask Frank, CU podcast. I just completed a book, Ultimate Nintendo Guide to the NES Library. Available at bookstores nowhere, but my website, you can order it.
Is there an audiobook version of that?
Oh, can there be?
Yeah, please.
Who should I hire to do that? Who has the best voice? In it?
Frank.
Yeah, Frank. Oh God, Frank can do it. Oh jeez. Oh, God, no. Frank would strangle me before we got even to the A section. He would just strangle me. So what's going on in the retro game collecting world the past year or so? What's hot? What's not?
You gotta have money.
No lie.
You gotta have money.
Well, that depends on where you are.
It does.
True.
Well, you have a lot of experience, Mike, a little Japan culture.
Yep.
In terms of collecting over there, you've been there, you've seen the shops. There's I've seen articles online about the shops not having any more games there for sale. Maybe you can expound upon that. Like, what have been your experiences overall shopping overseas for stuff?
It's really interesting because you could get just about any game almost new in Japan. So if you can read Japanese, you're pretty much in the clear. My wife Aki got brand new sealed Chrono Trigger, $15. Yeah. There are a couple there. Gosh, is that projector working at all? Because I brought pictures. I just didn't know if we. I guess it's okay.
Imagine games.
Well, here, hang on. Because I actually have. I don't know if anyone can see this, but there is a place called Super Potato, and if you know anything about Japan and retro gaming, that's where you go to get it. So here's the thing: you can get any game at Super Potato, just about any of their branch locations too. I've been to one in Nagoya, I've been to 2 in Tokyo, and you can get anything there, but it's relatively expensive.
And they're like multi-story buildings.
Yep, there's one of them, what was it? Super Potato is about 6 floors of just everything. They had what was it? They had Metal Slug merch, which I didn't even know existed. They had Game & Watches. They had stacks of Famicom, both regular and super, for super dirt cheap. There are a lot of mom and pop stores, which I kind of didn't expect because Japan's really big about copyright infringement. I lived out in a little kind of farm area, but 4 blocks from me was like a retro resale game shop. In Tokyo, there's a 12-story building called Mandarake, but that's another branch, and they have 4, 5, 6 floors of just retro games. So if you want a retro game and you can read Japanese, that's the best place to go. Now more than ever, it's easy to collect and enjoy games from Japan because there's so much English support, whether it be written or spoken nowadays. So it's actually really easy.
And like you're saying, the price-wise, compared to here, for a lot of the games, you can't find a factory-sealed Chrono Trigger here for $15. So
So it's the availability is really high. Importing, on the other hand, is going to be really tough because Japanese importers know how rare the games are here, and a lot of them will still charge pretty high prices. So it's kind of a weird mixed bag.
So you don't see a lot of the games disappearing, say Super Nintendo games that are harder to find here that, say, for example, Hagane over there. People just take it out there. That's not happening much.
It's all there. Like, I have never once seen a shortage of, like, when it comes to retro games and whatnot. I've been able to find just about everything you couldn't find here. And at a pretty good price, too. It's the new stuff, though, that's really hard. Like, they are... Okay, so I'm sure a lot of you know about Akihabara, which is supposed to be like the big gaming anime
Electric
hub.
Town.
Right. If you want retro, don't go there. Like that's the that's the best advice I can give you if you ever are like, I want to go to Japan and like go check out the retro gaming scene. It's not there. You have the like HQ like headquarters Super Potato there, but that's really it. If you want to see retro, you go to Osaka, you go to Denden Town. They have an entire street that is nothing but retro anime games and stuff like that. So it's like whenever people ask me, hey, I was thinking about going to Japan and I'm going to go to Tokyo, I'm like, don't go to Tokyo. Go to Tokyo if you want to see everything new in that country. If you want to see the old stuff, particularly the old retro stuff, you're definitely going to want to go south.
Sounds like you're working for the tourist board to Japan right now.
I wish, man. I could probably make some money off of that.
What about the Australian experience?
I was about to say, if you want to flip it on its other end, the Australian experience is completely different. So you can't find anything new anywhere ever. We have, in my little town, well, I say my little town, I'm in one of the biggest states. We have one retro gaming chain called Game Traders, and everything is... Do you have Game Traders in New Zealand? No. Everything's super expensive because I know they're the only place you can go if you want to buy on hand ready a retro video game. You have to go to Game Traders. Their stock's going to be very minimal. I think when I left, they were trying to sell a Sega CD for like $500. What? Because everything is super expensive over there, crazy expensive. We didn't even get most of the good stuff. Like
Nintendo wasn't huge there, so
Nintendo wasn't huge actually. Sega was the the more sold console of the time. Funny, because I actually grew up on Nintendo still regardless, and not having much internet back in the day, I didn't really even find out about Mega Drive until I was like 15. What was I saying? Yeah, but Game Traders, super crazy prices. You really can't find much going garage sailing and thrift shopping and all that, and we do have like Cashies, which is like like Cash America or whatever it's called, stuff like that. But they're super expensive as well because they know, like anywhere else, when they get something, it's going to sell, so they make it super expensive. So
you had some luck at like flea markets and
flea markets ain't bad because you get obviously people that had the stuff as the kid, bringing them back, trying to sell them. The thing is, though, everyone seems to know about prices these days. Everyone. So it's really hard. It's really hard to go somewhere because they'll have all these like GameCube games and they'll say like $20 each, and it's just stuff that you don't want. You might get lucky, you might find Gotcha Force or something in there if it's a good day, but collecting in Australia isn't easy. But someone's got to do it. That's what I used to say in like my first season. Worst slogan ever. Anyone here from Australia?
Woo! Crickets.
You have any questions about what it's like collecting in Australia? Otherwise, I'm going to move on to Pat. It's really hard.
Well, I'd like to ask Scott, since he's on the other side about he sells games. Mm-hmm. He has a video game seller series. What have you seen? What are the trends you've seen the past year or two?
We used to have a lot more like collectors coming around. I would have people coming around looking to completing the entire NES set or 64 set. For the last couple of years, it's been a little the opposite. I think a lot more of just casual shoppers have started to come to the flea market, and we don't have as many collectors, and that's probably because the mentality of everyone knows the game prices now. You're not going to possibly find those rare titles for $5 anymore. If you do, it's 6 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning out in the dirt part of the flea market. So definitely it has changed. You still get every once in a while someone coming looking for that high, Earthbound or something like that, but for the most part it's just like casual shoppers. Instead of going to GameStop or Walmart, they're looking to get $5 or $10 off on a newer 360 game or something for sure.
So has it made it harder for you to have games to sell? I understand?
It's not really. I mean, it just shift focus. I get recommendations for, do you have PS4 games? And I'm like, go to Walmart or go, there's so many places to go for that. I have a lot of Nintendo games. but you kind of got to do what the market's asking in that sense. And I do try to pick up or trade for, some newer stuff sometimes.
Well,
They are absolutely ridiculous.
I don't know how he does it.
I live.
if you get down to the brass tacks about where you're going to find games still,
It's the last, yeah.
flea markets is tough. It's been tough for 3-4 years. It's been
Yeah.
tougher. I'd say definitely the last 3 years it's been tough.
Garage sales are definitely sort of the last really.
Final frontier?
Yes.
Garage sales, yard sales, and estate sales.
Mm-hmm.
I've been talking about estate sales for years. I'm too lazy to go to them, though. Because for estate sales, the problem with estate sales is you're dealing with people that are looking for jewelry, looking for gold, looking for antique furniture, looking for old photography equipment, looking for paintings. There can be anything in an estate. People that could pass away, they have stuff for the last 30 years in their house, 40 years. So people will line up at estate sales from all walks of collectibles at like 6 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning. You get tickets sometimes. Then tickets, the first 50 people will get in to go to estate sales. It's serious business. You hire companies to work these for you. So it was semi-big news that a Complete in Box Stadium events was found with a bunch of other stuff at estate sale just last week.
For $5.
It was with a bunch of other games. So I was like, yeah, whatever. Take all those games, probably whatever. $50 for like 10 games or whatever. So this stuff can happen, but you got to get out there and look. Is how much are you willing to sacrifice your time to find a good deal is what it comes down to.
None of it is luck. Everyone always says, wow, that was so much luck or whatever. If you don't live in a populated area, if you live like where you have to drive every half hour to every house or every garage sale, then yes, it's not going to be very good for you in that area. But go to another area. Take a day trip and go to a more populated area, because at garage sales, it's just a numbers game. If you hit 50 of them, maybe 5 out of the 50, a 10% average or something, will end up having actual stuff. And you always got to ask. It's not stuff
always
on the
have to
table.
ask. Every single time I go, I only get stuff if I actually ask for it, and then they'll come out with random stuff. Or like, even if it's like almost nothing, it's almost never actually out.
Yeah.
Have you guys tried consignment shops?
Like thrift? Yeah. A lot of
not thrift stores. Consignment shops. There is a difference.
The problem with consignment shops is basically you have someone sell for you. So you set the price, and then the shop will take a cut of it. The problem with that is a lot of times when you're doing that, you want to get top dollar for your stuff.
Because they're sometimes they're told like either I don't haggle, that's the set price, or they're given it's on a piece of paper that says I will take 10% off whatever is listed. So you won't find the deals there. However, yes, you can go to a Salvation Army, which I recommend. My San Diego has AMVETS, which give the money to veterans in the military, so that's also a good place to shop, and people do find good deals there. Do you know if in your area, like Goodwill and Salvation Army, are they selling online now? Does your
my Goodwill, so basically, I don't go to my Goodwill stores anymore. Like I said, I'm too lazy, and plus people there know the workers or go there. They know when the stuff's going to come out, so I don't have the time to go and look. Plus, I'm not really looking for that much anymore. But I mean, there is a lot being put online with Goodwill. Obviously, Shop Goodwill's been big for like 7-8 years. The past 3-4 years, everyone knows about it. It used to be a little known secret like 5-6 years ago. You can get some good deals on it. Not like dirt cheap deals, but some good deals. I haven't got a good deal on Shop Goodwill in probably 4 or 5 years. Wow. So the shipping can be expensive. However, here's my tip. Here's an actual tip number 1 for that. You have to see if there's a pickup area in your location for Goodwill. There is local pickup options. If that's the case, you will be able to underbid others who won't bid as much because they got to get it shipped. So if I do win something, which is it happens, like Game Boy games for some reason I'm getting into a little bit right now, I can pick it up, so I don't have to pay the shipping. So it will go cheaper. But then I am still competing against maybe the 3 or 4 or 5 people in my area who are also bidding on that. So that's my recommendation. If you're going to look on Shop Goodwill, look for stuff that maybe other people aren't looking for, like less popular consoles, like I don't know, Odyssey 2 or television stuff or Atari, you might get a better deal. Or look to see what's local. At least my local Goodwill has a San Diego one where you can just filter on San Diego and just search games that way. And then you can bundle them up and then pick them up like once a month, and you don't have to pay the shipping. So that works that way. So see if your location does that too.
Also with Goodwill, at least in my area, we have weigh-in pays. Sort of like where...
I did one of those recently.
It's insanity. Where everything comes in, and it comes in bins, huge bins, and they're sorting it out, and they're going to send it off to other stores, but they'll do it where You grab a boomerang and it weighs less than a pound or whatever, and they go by that. So that's 50 cents.
It's like $2 a pound, I think.
Yeah, it's something crazy.
Something really. People take up trolleys, huge trolleys full of stuff, and they'll put it on a scale, and they'll take the trolley out of the weight, and they'll say like $10.
Yeah.
When I went there, I got a GameCube, I got a Model 2 Sega Genesis, and a Move controller, and a couple of the loose games. It was $8.
And it's
So I just did it by weight.
the good thing. I mean, yes, you should get there when they open, just like with everything. The earlier you get there, the better. But it's all random. It's not sorted, so you have just as much of a chance as whoever else just walked in the door.
But it's also thrown into bins,
Yeah.
and people smash it around, so like stuff's gonna get messed up. But it's like $8.
So what store chains do that, or what does it?
Goodwill is for the one I know for sure.
Yours does it. So
Yeah.
my Goodwill, I don't think they do that, but they do like general auctions where you go to the place.
Okay.
That's near the border, so you can actually go. They have like an electronics auction where I guess you might be bidding on an entire lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe it's somewhat similar, but you have to still bid on it in person. But I have heard of that. One of the best scores I ever got was when I was in New Jersey still. So we're talking 2000, and I want to say 8 or 7. And I went to a guy's house where he was explaining at the time. He didn't explain it like that, but he was like, "Yeah, I knew a guy who was buying electronics by the pound down in Florida, and then they were trucking it up."
Okay.
And so he just had NES boxes, like box consoles and games and controllers, and they probably got it for pennies on the dollar. And so they were just looking. This was like 2007, when no one was really collecting.
Another good point. Just mentioning that. So you had a guy, like I have a woman, like I don't go to Weigh and Pay myself. I do the garage selling stuff and the flea market, and that's sort of my thing. But I have connections that just do Weigh and Pay. She doesn't garage sale anymore. So always making that sort of connection. Maybe it's not your thing. Maybe you don't want to go dig through that stuff. But she's not into video games. She knows they're worth money and people would want them. But she's into toys and all that kind of stuff.
So make connections,
Yeah.
which is very important for collecting, which I think people forget about. You find out what other people like. You make friends, which is good. But then people look out for you. You look out for them. It's a communal thing. It makes it more fun, and then you can get good deals on stuff. I think that's a very important, especially in this day and age with how much prices are. If you see an extra copy of something, your friend wants it or someone then maybe you can trade. I'm working on a trade right now with a guy who came across a bunch of Vectrex stuff for a pretty good price. He has no interest in the Vectrex. He knows, I know this crazy guy named Pat who probably wants some of this stuff. So we're going to work out a trade. So that's, it can work that way too.
I mean, like this day and age, I mean, Pat mentioned, yes, I sell video games, but it all started to help collect my collection. So if I could trade every single game I got for stuff I wanted, that would be great, but it's just not practical. Not everyone's going to come with something that I'm looking for, but that money usually goes to then something I'm looking for. So everyone, even if you're just trading, it's the stereotype of that has sort of gone away. Everyone knows it's worth money. That's in the community. Just be fair, give good deals, and like you said, make a connection where even if it's, you see some G.I. Joe toys and you're not into G.I. Joes, but the guy that's into G.I. Joes has a bunch of Nintendo games that he doesn't care about. Just always be, marketing like that, communicating with everyone. You're not going to build a mega collection these days or find the rare games unless you do that. It's just not feasible.
Buying lots and selling and trading the stuff you don't want out of the lots is a fantastic way to build a collection.
Yeah.
I didn't start doing it until recently. I started hoarding everything that I got. I didn't want to, even if it was like Madden, I'm like, well, I bought this. I'm going to keep this. It's something I don't have. But as soon as you start getting rid of that stuff, suddenly you see better stuff appearing in your collection. It's definitely a good way to do it. Sell the stuff if you have to. Just sell it at a decent price.
Be practical. Like, don't just buy 500 games because it's a fantastic price. Know what you plan on doing with them. Know you have a place to store them. Know you're not going to get overwhelmed by it. Just because that when you're buying a lot, like he was saying, you could just all of a sudden be like, oh my god, I didn't realize how much just piled up there, and then you have to get rid of it. You have to do something with it.
You have to have a budget. I've seen collectors come and go where they get into it, where it's like, I'm going to buy 600 NES games in a year and a half. And then they realize, I know exactly how much money I paid to get those games. And now, what am I doing with my life? And I'll just sell them all off now. That happens more than you think. So have realistic goals. Know what you can spend. Treat it like gambling. Don't gamble or spend what you can't afford to lose. It has to be extra money on the side. It can't be, don't get in over your head.
When you were in Japan, like with buying games or whatever, is it anything like this?
No, it's because it's not that communal.
I mean, there might be some undergrounds, but it's like I never found a group of people, and I've got nerd friends on the inside, but it's like it's all store oriented.
Okay.
Because it can, because you've got so many stores in Japan anyway that are just selling everything. There doesn't necessarily have to be a community.
There's too much. There's almost an overabundance of the product.
Well, and it makes me kind of sad too, because this is stuff that even I didn't know about. I'm learning stuff here, and I'm like, it makes me think if places like Super Potato would just go on like eBay or something and sell their stuff there, depending on the mentality of the collector, like if someone's like, it must be the US edition, blah blah blah, whatever. Like if people would open up to to a concept of collecting like Japanese games, it'd be so much cheaper. You guys could get, I kid you not, you could get Mega Man's 1 through 5, and a Famicom for probably less than $100. Like, it's just that insanely cheap because there's just so much of it.
Have you been to Seattle?
I have not.
Well, Pink Gorilla has caught on to that. There's a chain of stores called Pink Gorilla. I think there's 4 or 5 in Seattle, and all they do mostly is import Japanese stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
And that's where you go, and you can get all these super cheap Japanese games. Every console. They even have, like, weird stuff, like Wonder Swan and stuff like
They
that.
display it really weird, too. Like, they have these large sheets on the wall of plastic
And
pouches.
they put them on the plastic, and you got to ask them to, like, cut down the zip ties, and they're always upside down as well. You got to be like, that.
weird.
It's not the best setup in the sense of display, but it's...
But if you want to get, like, Famicom games, like, that's definitely the place to go. They have so many Famicom games, I started building a chair out of them.
That's how available it is. It's like,
For Famicom in particular, Famicom games are, I'd say 95% of original 8-bit Famicom games are very, very cheap. You can go on eBay right now, and you'll buy a lot of 50 for like $50 or $45 with shipping. The shipping will be more than the games a lot of times. So that's what they're doing. They're probably buying 1,000 at a time and then bringing them in.
have you been seeing an increase of like Japanese sellers? Because last time I looked, it wasn't there, but I could be wrong.
You notice it a little bit, but for stuff like original Famicom, the value's not there. But Super Famicom, PC Engine, I've seen grown a lot the past couple years. PC Engine was really the first console that people figured out, well, there's not many TurboGrafx games out there, but I'll get the Japanese version of it.
Yeah.
Because most of the games you don't need to learn English, they're shooters.
Every single one is at least 50% or 75% of what the American version would be in price.
But the problem is they catch up. They start to catch up.
Yeah.
That's the problem. When they start drying up, like the rare games, like you mentioned Mega Man games, being under $100 for all 5 or 6.
For all 6, you could get them. I have never seen a Mega Man game for more than about $5. Any game. So,
Sure. But it'll take a while. But if people start doing that more regularly, it'll catch on.
Like I've noticed the Super Famicom, like the Rockman game stuff, have definitely gone up a little bit more in value than they were.
But it still makes me wonder how fast that would happen because there's just so much of it. If it spread out a whole lot, I don't know.
Yeah.
There are so 1, 2, 6. I've been to 8 different like resale chains and like retro shops, and there's just so much stock. I'm sitting here thinking to myself, if there was a mass importation of Japanese games here, would the rarity actually change? Would the price of it actually change? And I honestly don't know, just because of how much there is over there.
I know that maybe, well, I'm imagining Japan too, but like also in like Korea and some other parts there's people I know have gone over there, and there's warehouses of nothing, and some of it's even American stuff that they just don't do anything with. The warehouses have been shut and locked. It's a little guy who owns a store. He pulls out maybe 2 or 3 boxes every couple of years, puts it out, and then sells off.
I think I can put it this way. I think the reason why there's so much stock and so much trying to be sold is that culturally they don't focus on old stuff very much.
Yeah, they want the newest phone, the newest camera.
There's not much. There is a retro scene, but you're not going to see people devoted to the retro. There are going to be people that are like, oh yeah, I've got a PS4 and like a PS1 and like a Famicom that I play from time to time. I honestly just don't know if the interest is really big over there. If the interest was the same level here as it was over there, Super Potato and Animate and all these other stores would not have the crazy stock that they do.
They'd be sold out.
So we've been talking about prices about things and how cheap they are, like Mega Man. I thought it'd be fun to compare some prices to Australia. Mega Man X for the Super Nintendo sells for, if you're lucky, $150. Mega Man X3 currently there's one bidding, 27 bids, ends in 20 hours. It's up to $405.
Oh my god.
I was looking up some other stuff too, like the Zelda games, both Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask 64 at $80 each on a good day.
Remember when you first came here, I told you.
No.
No, those are card only.
They're loose. Boxes?
Like they use those for fire. I mean, like.
Actually, speaking of boxes, one thing that's crazy is StarCraft 64 loose is about $150. In box complete, it sells for about $1,000.
Oh my god.
So that's a really hard one to find. I was looking up, like, off the top of my head, like, I've been gone for a year, some stuff has changed, but NES complete, you'd be lucky to get one for under 100. SNES complete, you're not getting one under 100, you're looking at 150.
Well, hold on a second. After James did his Action 52 review, the price skyrocketed. Well, sure, but it used to be a $40 game before James' review. It was. James did his review in 2010. It was totally off topic. Action 52 was a $40 game. I did my review. No one saw it in 2009.
Well, I mean, the thing is with the advent of internet personalities,
stuff's gonna go up.
Stuff changes.
Yeah.
Like I know it's not retro, but Bear Simulator, like there's a lot of talk that it went down because PewDiePie like just tore it apart.
Yeah, that's another conversation. Yeah, about the effect on new games by.
And also, if the game is not good, like Action 52, there'll be a surge of, well, I'm going to get it because this guy said it, but then the game sucks. It's not a...
But it's still a $200 game loose, though.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying that it's not going to all of a sudden become like, oh, it's Little Samson. Now people want it for multiple reasons. They only want it for the rarity of
It's rarity, and you laugh at it. I think it's charmingly bad. Well, Action 52 for Genesis is easier to find, actually, just because they had a lot of new old stock. You could have bought Action 52 on Genesis for $30 brand new about 5 years ago still.
Should we open the floor for questions? We got about a half hour left, and we got people wanting to ask.
I was going to say quickly one more thing. Speaking of Little Samson, it's funny, and where I come from, sometimes things are reversed. Like Little Samson in Power Region, I could buy one right now for $200. I don't know what they go for here right now. What are they going for? Okay, well that's a lot cheaper. And I'm pretty sure. How much is Stadium Events going for now?
Thousands and thousands.
Okay, I haven't looked it up right now, but last time I checked, it was only at like 200.
Yeah, the PAL Stadium Events is uncommon. It's not rare.
Yeah, so it's funny how it's flipped a lot. But
Q&A.
Yeah,
we actually have only about 20 minutes because the next panel starts at 12, so we'll give them some time. So we'll do some Q&A.
That means you have to raise your hand. Yeah, you. Yes.
What do you guys think of the new Star Fox, just out of curiosity?
What do we think of the new Star Fox? I have not played it.
I didn't get to play it before I came here.
The biggest issue that most people I've ever talked to about is just the fact that they have to use the Wii U pad. And
apparently the controls are horrible.
It's not that bad.
That's what I heard. It's fine.
Where is Gerard? Gerard will back me on this because he was far more outspoken about than I was. I wish I could do game reviews because I liked it. Was it Star Fox 64? No, it was not. But you're not gonna see Star Fox 64 again. They've already re-released it, and for them to go back, for them to go back to that kind of formula, it's not gonna happen.
Plus, Platinum Games worked on this one, so it's gonna have a different style and feel to it.
The thing that everyone is complaining about is the motion controls, which you can't turn off, by the way. You can actually just use stick.
Mm-hmm.
That drives me crazy.
Like, people should shut up about it then.
And it's just, it's like for me, my biggest problem were the boss fights. And there was only one boss fight that I thought was kind of BS, and that was the final fight with Andros, because you actually had to look through the cockpit in order to see where certain openings was. Everything else, I don't.
Ruined it.
Oh, Zorn!
Is he the villain in every game?
I saved you 2 hours of frustration. Okay.
All right, retro game topics.
Sorry.
All right, how about you, sir, the black hat? Yeah.
Locally, I was going to say, how much of a problem is that becoming? Have you seen a bigger, more problem just beyond GameStop? Because we actually had locally a local chain of stores, and it was a harvest move, but actually when they tested it, it actually drives.
So it was a Super Nintendo Harvest Moon that was traded in locally, and it was not the Harvest Moon. So they got taken for a ride. I have not seen it. I mean, the biggest Luna Video Games is my only local stores. There's 2 of them. There's a couple others, but no one goes to them. So Ian and the crew there are very diligent about trying to find fake and repro labels and bad games. And if it's something that's really valuable, they'll open it up and they'll test it. So for me, it's really bad business and unacceptable for a store to accept the trade-in and not at least test the game.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Especially if it's in the
To me.
hundreds of dollars. I mean,
Oh, so first of all, they're doing bad business by not giving any credit, but they're not also checking the game. So they're being asses twice, basically. They're saying, "Oh, we just pulled one over on you." It's like, no, now you're selling counterfeit items. Well, then I would never go there.
see,
That's just terrible.
That situation almost sounds like someone knew that store sucks at that, and they're like, and they were like, "Hey, let's whip this out and see what they still if they still offer us $10." Okay.
Okay, well, all right. Poo-poo on them. All right. How about way in the back in the gray shirt? The question is, do you think it's gotten exponentially harder to find games? Do you think it'll change in the next 5 years, better or worse? I think you're going to hit a point where people will they'll give up. They'll stop going to look at flea markets. You'll hit that point where people are going to get frustrated and not go to flea markets, which they don't make it easier when stuff is there to find. But there's less stuff in general being brought out by sellers, what I call the garage sale sellers to flea markets. Because they all have these things now. They have mini computers that are more powerful than the ones we sent people to the moon with. And they can look up stuff and figure out that, oh, these records I have are worth money. These video games I have are worth money. I'm not going to sell them for $2 each or $3 each. It's not to say it doesn't still happen. And there are still sellers that know what they have, but will still give you a good deal because they figure, okay, if a game's worth $20, I'm not going to sell it for $20. I'm not going to waste my time on eBay and deal with it. I'll give it to you for $8 or $10. Everyone wins. I get rid of it. Their time is saved, which is important. You still get a good deal. I think that's more and more what you're going to see in the future. That's the best. That's the best, at least I think you're going to do down the line. Up front.
I was wondering, what is this year? I guess what is your guys' best retro game finds?
Ooh.
Best retro game finds. We'll start with on the end, Gaijin.
Oh no, start with me last because I have to think about this one.
We'll start with me first. The past calendar year or going back 12 months. The best thing I did was there's an older collector or seller in the San Diego area that's starting to get rid of he's keeping his NES stuff and TurboGrafx stuff, but he's getting rid of everything else. So I got basically a good chunk of the working designs, Sega CD and Saturn games for like half the eBay cost, 60%. So again, everyone won. He didn't have to list them. He still got a good amount of money for them. I got a deal and I got them. It was a, probably, it was a 4-figure deal. It was a decent amount. And I got Snatcher on Sega CD finally. Before it shot up again.
I woke up at 8 a.m. to go garage sailing in Seattle. I got 6 hours in, just about to give up, found a community garage sale, and within that entire community, I got a boxed NES action set for $50. It was mint. I got a box of NES games and PlayStation 2 games and the PlayStation 2 console NES for $20. But the biggest thing was I finally got a ColecoVision in box in fantastic condition, complete, even with the Donkey Kong game for $10.
Wow.
So that was my best for a long time.
Wow, that's like me 7 years ago, finding that stuff. Makes me wistful.
I'm going to recommend, hey, if you'd like to check out my channel, Scottsquatch, garage sale videos.
Put that plug in.
Put that. I could give you a list every single weekend. I live in an area where it's not hard to find retro stuff for a good deal. Last weekend or the weekend before last was a bunch of sealed PlayStation 1 games for like $1.50 each. It was like 24 games, Mega Man Legends, that kind of stuff.
Oh
wow. Bubble Bobble 2 in a box of a bunch of NES games. They were like $1 or $2. It's very frequent to find, hey, here's my box of Super Nintendo games or whatever.
He gets boring to listen to because every week he's like, oh, I found Flintstones, I found Little Samson.
Are
I'm
people
just like, okay, yeah,
people
again.
bringing you these things, or you're finding them?
No, this is garage sale hunting.
It's just garage sale hunting. Okay, it's out there,
It doesn't
folks.
count when you do it every week.
It doesn't count.
You got, that's the thing. You have to go. You can't treat it. You have to treat it like a job almost.
So yeah, because he struck out a lot of times too.
Well, yeah. Like I said, if you go to 50, you're gonna find stuff at 5.
I didn't believe that he actually found the stuff until I went with you and we went garage sailing. But it's not just the fact that we found a load of stuff. Like we found, I don't know, you know what we found? Stupid amount of stuff, really cheap. But it's, I don't bother going there because I know old lady Gray from down the road's already got there. And she's like, wait, let's go see her. She knocks on the door. Did you find anything? She's like, no, not today. He knows everyone. He goes all the time, every day. He knows everyone on the streets in the community. They'll call him. If he gets to a garage sale late, there's a good chance the person that actually went there will call him and ask him if he wants the stuff they found.
And one big thing is when you make those connections, like, be upfront with what you're doing. Like, I don't lie. If they ask, what are you doing? Like, yes, I sell, but I collect, I trade, I do everything. Like, I try to let them know that, no, I don't own a store or, anything like that. But I am, possibly going to sell or trade this, so I do still need to get it as a good deal. And honesty definitely really pays off in those situations for sure.
Okay, so aside from the $15 in-box brand new Chrono Trigger that my wife got, this is why you guys are awesome, okay? This wasn't a deal, but this was a wonderful gesture. I had a fan in Kuwait, I kid you not, Mega Man 5 in box, and he sent it to me.
That's a nice present.
Yes, it was. Like, it was super, like, you guys are awesome.
So send us Mega Man 5s in the box. Thank you.
You in the blue shirt? Blue shirt?
How do you feel about VGA graded games and VGA grading in general?
How do you feel about VGA grading games? I think it's awful.
Yep.
Because I'm not going to parse words. I think it's bad just because it artificially inflates the value. It takes a supply of skill games out of the market just for people to do that.
Whatever the number that you come up with, you put 8.5 on something, how does that translate to then?
There's zero transparency, not only for what the process is for the people that do it, where the game's sent. There's no listing. At least with the comic book stuff, there's transparency, and there's a need to do that. And you can know what's the difference between a 1.0 grade in a comic and a 4.0. Like, it's well established what all this stuff is because you're grading an entire comic. For a game, you're grading just the box and what the quality of the seal is, which to me is insane to begin with, but I understand a need for it. And plus, I hate to say it, I have inside word. I've talked to people that there has been stuff sent that was resealed that they said was new, factory sealed.
Yeah, plus I also talked to someone else I wanted to ask you guys because one person said they actually take a razor and cut the game open and he can make sure the stuff is in there. And then
That I have not heard.
Yeah, I haven't seen that myself.
I can't comment on them opening sealed games to grade it.
What is this tripe? I've never heard of this, and I'm just now on the site.
Oh, innocent Gaijin. Oh, so innocent.
What is this garbage?
take
For
this-
evaluation, preservation, and authentication. Under whose jurisdiction?
This is all you need to know about that business. This is on their internet. They went. There was like a local business interview. They went to the location and interviewed the guy in charge, and he said the goals was to do this will raise the value of your games. That he says it on camera. That's like, we can protect it, but it makes your games more valuable. And it's like, what? Are you crazy? Okay, I don't want to. Okay, that's all I want to say. People already don't like me in the sealed community. They're not going to like me more. Let's go left. Let's go far left, sir. Have I gotten burned buying a lot of games, multiple games off of eBay? I can't think of it offhand. I mean, stuff not being in there, for example.
I have. Back in Australia, actually, when the Wii had just come out, and I bought a Wii, 50 games for $200, and I got delivered, and it had homebrew installed on it, and every game was photocopied artwork and burnt disc and stuff like that. It was horrible, and the games weren't even the ones that they said they were going to send me. They sent me all the filler crap. They couldn't even pirate good games for me.
But decency to pirate high quality games.
Right? But fortunately, I lodged a thing with eBay, and they're really good at that, and I got all my money back, and the seller never contacted me, so I got to keep the Wii. So free Wii at least. But
you, sir, white shirt. Why do I generally dislike?
What is this?
I did a whole segment on it. So just Google CU Podcast Mega Man. It'll come up.
I have my eye on you, Pat.
I still think they're good games. I just don't personally like them.
That's okay.
How about you, sir, in the hat?
Thank you. The number one reason always that I say is the county I live in, which is Pinellas County, is the most densely packed county. It is 90% communities, homes. There's no industrial. It's not like here. It's not like where you're going to drive, you hit your little city, and then all of a sudden it's fields for miles. There is none of that. So I mean, it is all neighborhoods, no big buildings or businesses. That would be the number one thing. Also, it's a really big mix of people. You have beach communities, really rich, where you're going to have millionaires selling off. I just bought a Wii U and I didn't like it, $50. Or the exact opposite. There's trailer parks. There's more kind of slum areas that it's people pulling stuff out that they just need to make a few bucks. So it's a completely different vibe wherever you go.
And that wasn't just a random number you threw out either. You bought a Wii U for $50 the other day.
I did. Yeah.
Finds everything.
So I mean, that's
The jealousy is real.
It's dumb.
again. Going to 50 to 100 garage sales is also the thing. You can't go to 20 and then be like, dang it, I only found one thing or whatever. Yeah, that's you go from 7 or 8 in the morning until 12 or 1 in the afternoon because there's always stuff out there.
About Deadpool shirt. Okay, this is not a retro game collecting question, but Genesis or Super Nintendo?
We'll make it about which one's better to collect for.
As the collectible? Oh, jeez. Actually, I think Super Nintendo is very boring to collect for, personally. I think the Genesis has a much wider range of games, a little more risque games, games that Super Nintendo or Nintendo didn't have the balls to publish.
I'd say for me, complete trying to collect complete in box wise. Super Nintendo, I'm fine with just the cart, but I can't do just a cart for Genesis. I would like to have
you
a
need
box.
a nice clamshell.
But they're easy
Why
to
do people
find.
throw those out?
Yeah.
Well,
It's a nice freaking case.
I know, people would throw out their nice clamshell case. Doesn't make any sense. They
But
treat it like a box.
at least they hold up when they keep them. They're
Yeah.
always,
Yes.
always good cases.
Oh, yeah.
Which is cool.
It's because back in the day, as kids, we didn't care. We just wanted to play the game.
Oh.
That's where I am.
Oh, CD folder? Oh, those people, God.
I'm just straight up. My next door neighbor had Genesis, so it didn't matter. But looking back, I would probably always do SNES because I think the games are better. Sorry, it's just. But no, it's a matter. No, it's just a matter of opinion. Like, yeah, Sega did some stuff that Nintendo would never do because Nintendo was so family oriented. Sega definitely took risks, but damn, that sound chip is horrible. I'm sorry.
Some people prefer the Genesis FM synthesis to the MIDI sounds that Super Nintendo puts out. The cheap computer MIDI sounds.
If you want,
So you're going to start, some people are going to be, that's fighting words. A lot of people. That's them's fighting words. All right.
No. In real talk, it's just preference because it's like when you were a kid, you could only go one route.
Yes, yeah, you couldn't afford
So
both.
it's like I would default to SNES just because of my past history, and I admit that's very fanboyish. But I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean,
No, of course not.
Like what you
I'm just
like.
saying I didn't even say what do you like playing. I said what do you like collecting for. And Super Nintendo doesn't have any like weird accessories really. They have like the Super Batter Up.
They have the Super Scope. That thing was weird.
That's awful. That's just terrible. No one ever used
why did it
that.
have to
when
be
it
that
came out.
big?
Because it's a bazooka, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, the
have to
Menacer,
hit it like
the
this.
Menacer that you could like change and put attachments on. All right.
We got a few more questions.
How about in the way in the corner? Oh, it's standing. Selling horror stories.
Yeah, I do, because I've been selling lately on eBay. Most of the time, I'll get someone message me, and I can handle it sometimes. I sold a Super Nintendo recently, and I sell really good. I think I sold it for like $15, just console only. I got a message saying, I got it, but my games won't fit in it. And I was like, what games are you using? And then she was like, well, it doesn't matter because I can't even get a display on my TV. And I'm like, you need to put a game in it. And she's like, but it doesn't fit. And then I'm like, I'm sorry, that's not my fault. I don't accept returns. So of course she asked for a return. Item wasn't as described. eBay always goes in the favor of the buyer. I had to refund them, and I never even got the SNES back. So that's only happened to me 2 or 3 times, but it does suck because a lot of this retro stuff, some people just buy for nostalgia, but then don't know how it works, and then request a return, and then you have to deal with that whole thing. That's how I find. Plus, I swear, I always check my discs, but some of them are, scratched up. It happens, and then I get them saying it doesn't work. So I don't know if it's just my PS2 is really good at reading discs and theirs isn't. But for the most part, it's fine. But yeah, there's definitely...
Selling online is something I don't do anymore. I kind of stopped, unless it's like a friend or something. I only sell in person, which really allows where I have a TV, I have the systems, someone wants to say something, we pop it in and play, which is really handy. So...
Also, it hasn't happened to me, but it has happened to someone I know. It's really easy for you to buy a SNES, say it doesn't work, and then send back a broken SNES.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And that does happen.
Snapshot the serial number. A couple more questions.
Yeah, I started doing that.
Got 3 minutes.
You already asked me, sir. How about you? Yeah.
They are actually amazing.
Greg
yes, I will
Honeycutt
allow
is an
that,
awesome man.
That's a great store, and I do recommend you check that out.
All right, so we have a shout out to Game Bros, and we have a question: are repros affecting the market on rare games? I don't think it's happened quite yet.
Yeah.
Because they're not. There hasn't been a deluge on the market. It isn't like Michael Jordan rookie cards getting reprinted. It's not like thousands and thousands. Yet.
Collecting wise, people that want to pay $400 for a $400 game, they're not going to buy the repro card version. It's not going to affect them in any way. It's only if you really want to play it, which you could play every damn retro game online. Just download it. So that.
Yeah. And I don't know if it has, but reproing a lot of the PAL games that came out that you can't get here, that might actually help the PAL market.
Yeah.
Because I know it's really like Terra Enigma for the Super Nintendo shot up in price something crazy because you can only get it in Europe and in Australia. But you can repro that really easily here now.
I got that complete at a pawn shop in Europe for like $20.
Okay, yep, sweet.
More bragging. I get free games. Yeah. Black shirt.
You're from Holland, and in Holland we have a show, and it's an American show called Pawn Stars, and I saw you on Pawn Stars.
I was on Pawn Stars?
Didn't happen.
Well, that guy's come all the way from Holland for this convention, so... Plus we got 2 from New Zealand as well. I just want to throw that in there.
Kiwis.
I think we got time for like
One more question.
Oh, he's got questions. He's got a question.
Oh.
That was just a comment. I can't talk about that appearance. Maybe when they go out of business, the production company. All right, someone here who was saying left side. This better be a good question. This better be good. Favorite obscure question? question.
Go to sleep, Pat.
What's my favorite question? Favorite system to collect that's obscure? Is it TurboGrafx? Is TurboGrafx still obscure?
Yes.
TurboGrafx 16.
Yeah.
By far. It's my second favorite system ever.
Does PS Vita count yet?
Yeah,
I'm gonna do that.
Oh! I got to do Turbo also, but I'll say also like the Duo or just any random Turbo related accessory, that kind of stuff.
I will say Vita. Like, I know that's not retro, but no. Vita's got so many great games. They're just not here. They have so many great Japanese. Like, I love my Vita. I play my Vita 6 times more than I play my 3DS.
I think it's a better system as far as an actual system than a 3DS. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah, and the games are great. It's just if you don't like Japanese games, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta like RPGs.
Let's
for
do
sure.
one more question. Who has an awesome question? Not about the Vectrex. we got you last time outside. Sorry. How about you start rocking the devil horns?
What's an old game or franchise that you'd like to see rebooted, reimagined, like a forgotten franchise?
What do we want to see rebooted a video game franchise?
I don't know if I can pick one like name, but I would like to see like more beat 'em up games. Haha.
It's my time.
Go to Japan. They have lots.
Yeah,
That's their thing.
That and I gotta say shmups, because shmups in general aren't really a big thing.
They have those too.
Yeah, okay.
They have Darius Burst 5, bro.
So some more shmup games. That was my favorite thing.
I'd like a reimagined Gunstar Heroes, maybe. Yeah, that would be cool.
Anything with Go-Go 13, you know that. Anything. Movie, TV show. Help me out here. Do that movie that's supposed to happen. Are we good?
Yeah, I think so.
Thanks, guys, for coming out. It's
Thank
been
you all.
fun. I got a panel at 4 o'clock.
I got one at 3 with Drake.
We have one tomorrow at 2.
If you're here.
If we give free games, free stuff.
Come back.
Candy.
Come back like my boomerang.